Mam Devim Sam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavata Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtiki Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Saganatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishipano Devi
Devi Parmani Harite
Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram
Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. We continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 3, chapter, not this one. We are on Canto 3, on chapter 7. And chapter 7 and on text. Just give me a moment, please. I think I've lost the page here. So I'm not able to see it. Yeah. Text, we finished text 11. And so now we'll go to text 12. No. Oh, shit. Okay. Now I think you can see the screen. So when Nivriti Dharmena Vasudevanukampaya Bhagavad Bhakti Yogena Tirodhate Shaner Iha. But that misconception of self-identity can be diminished gradually by the mercy of this personality of Godhead Vasudeva through the process of devotional service to the Lord in the mode of detachment. So we have been hearing how Vidur was putting the question to Maitreya Muni that how the soul that is so pure gets contaminated, comes under ignorance, starts thinking that, oh, I am the body. So we are the soul. And then how, if we are pure, soul is always pure. How we are now thinking we are the body. And so Maitreya Muni said it was because of our independent will. And then now he's saying how we can give up, come out of that ignorance, how we can change our consciousness. And what is that? Misconception of self-identity, that we think that we are the body. That is our misconception, because we are eternally souls, parts and parcels of Krishna. And this, the misconception that we are the body, can be diminished gradually. Gradually, it takes time. We have to adopt the process. And gradually, by the mercy of the personality of Godhead, through the process of devotional service to the Lord in the mode of detachment. So we have to take up the process of bhakti. We have to take up the process of devotional service, and then Krishna will be, then he will bestow his mercy to us, and we can be situated in the truth. The quivering quality of material existence which comes from identification with matter or from thinking oneself under the material influence of philosophical speculation to be God, can be eradicated by devotional service to the Lord by the mercy of the personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. As discussed in the first canto, because the application of devotional service to Lord Vasudeva invites pure knowledge, it quickly detaches one from the material conception of life and thus revives one's normal condition of spiritual existence, even in this life, and frees one from the material winds which cause one to quiver. So it's only through bhakti that we can be situated in the truth. Why? Because with bhakti, we can attract the mercy of Krishna. And then he can see that our desire is changed, that we want to understand the truth. We don't want to continue thinking we are God. And then he gives us the true knowledge, pure knowledge. Then what happens? Once we get the pure knowledge, automatically our attachment to this material world will slacken. It happens simultaneously. The more we get attached to Krishna, our attachment to this material world will slacken. And devotional service begins by hearing and chanting. If we want to be situated in our true identity, we have to chant the holy name, chant japa on the beads. We are recommended to chant at minimum 16 rounds, but we can start gradually. Somewhere we start 1 round, two rounds, and gradually build it up. Only knowledge in devotional service can elevate one towards the path of liberation. Now, everyone wants liberation. Everybody says mukti chahiye, moksha chahiye. But what is true liberation? How can we get? Only by devotional service. Only by devotional service. There's no other way, because everything else will still keep us here in the material world. The path of Gyan is very, very difficult, because mostly then the Gyanis start thinking that I'm God. And then once they think I'm God, they will be born here again in the material world as a big tree or a big something great, a big elephant, a queen bee, a big mountain. And there are very few, the Brahmavadis, who will really reach the Brahma Jyoti. Very, very few. And that also takes a long, long time. And they're also after a long time, because they're not situated in the true identity of service to God, they'll come back down again. The development. So we should take up this process of bhakti with full faith, with enthusiasm, and with determination. So this knowledge should help us to clear our doubts that, oh, I don't need to do the yoga process because I'll still be here. Oh, I don't need to do the Gyan process because I will still come back to the material world. So bhakti is the only way. So let me do this bhakti. Let me hear and chant with enthusiasm, with sincerity, with submission, with attention, put my full endeavor in it. When we are hearing, we are chanting, worshipping the deity. Let me try to muster as much devotion as I can. The development of knowledge for the purpose of knowing everything without rendering devotional service is considered fruitless labor, and one cannot get the desired result by such labor of love. Now, if we are just going to cultivate knowledge without bhakti, only Gyan without bhakti, nothing's going to happen. We will not attract the mercy of Krishna. Only by bhakti can we attract Krishna's mercy. Lord Vasudeva is pleased by devotional service only, and thus his mercy is realized by association with pure devotees of the Lord. So devotional service is not done alone, always done in association of devotees under the guidance of a spiritual master. Association is very important. Pure devotees of the Lord are transcendental to all material desires, including the desire for the results of fruitive activities and philosophical speculation. If one wants to acquire the mercy of the Lord, he has to associate with pure devotees. Such association alone can by degrees, release one from the quivering elements. So why we are recommended to associate with pure devotees? Because pure devotees, they do not have any material desire. They're not saying, let me do this for my own enjoyment, I will be happy. Or they're not saying that I want to cultivate knowledge so I can become God. No, their only desire is how to please Krishna. And then when we associate with such pure devotees, they will also teach us how to please Krishna. And then we can be gradually situated in our true position. So association of pure devotees is very important. Is that okay? Yeah. Yes. So, reading on. So engaging in bhakti yoga in the association of devotees. That's what is required to attract the mercy of Krishna so that we can get liberated from this material world, so that we can stop this misidentification, that thinking that I'm the body, so that we can be situated in the truth. Text 13. Yadendriyo paramotha drishtatmani pareharo viliyante tadaklesha samsuptasyeva kritsnashaha. When the senses are satisfied in the seer supersoul, the personality of Godhead, and merge in him, all miseries are completely vanquished as after a sound sleep. The quivering of a living entity, as described above, is due to the senses. Since the entire material existence is meant for sense gratification, the senses are the medium of material activities, and they cause the quivering of the steady soul. It's because of these senses, we say we want to enjoy the sense. Let me eat how much ever I want or whatever I want. Let me speak whatever I want. Let me hear whatever I want. And like this, I will be happy. That like this, I will be happy. So we're always trying to feed the senses whatever they're asking. And that is the material way of life. And that increases our attachment to this body. It increases our misidentification that I am the body. It helps us to forget further that I'm actually the soul. Therefore, these senses are to be detached from all such material activities. According to the impersonalists, the senses are stopped from work by merging the soul in the supersoul Brahman. So what do the impersonalists, they think, okay, I have the senses are a problem. So let me do something. Let me stop having these senses. I will merge inside the light and I will not have any senses anymore, which is the cause. The devotees, however, do not stop the material senses from acting, but they engage their transcendental senses in the service of the transcendence, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So what do the devotees do? They say, we have the eyes. So instead of me looking at some garbage, let me try to look at the deities. Let me appreciate how beautiful the deities are dressed. Let me speak about the Lord with my tongue. Let me hear about the Lord with my ears. So like that, they have purifying their senses, serving the senses. Serving Krishna with the senses. In either case, the activities of the senses in the material field are to be stopped by cultivation of knowledge. And if possible, they can be engaged in the service of the Lord. The senses are transcendental in nature, but the activities become polluted when contaminated by matter. We have to treat the senses to cure them of the material disease, not stop them from acting as suggested by the impersonalist. So it's not that we do not have senses in the spiritual world. Our spiritual body also, we have senses. We have eyes, we have ears, we have nose, everything we have. Now, if we try to artificially stop, oh, I'm not going to see anything. We have experience. How long can we close our eyes? Of course, Gandhari closed her eyes for her full life. But are we like that? No. But then she used to speak. Even if you close one sense, your other senses are there. We will speak, we will hear, we'll want to do something, we'll go somewhere, walking, the legs, hands, all these are working senses. So what does the devotee do? Purify the senses. So to be situated in the true position, because in our true position, our senses are transcendental. In our original position, our senses are always engaged in the service of Krishna. So right now we just have to cure the disease. And it's not that, if I have an infection in my leg, for example, I have to cure the infection. Maybe I have to take some antibiotic or something. Not that I cut my leg. I don't need the leg anymore because it has infection. So similarly, not that I don't want my eyes anymore. I don't want nose anymore. I don't want my mouth anymore, just because they're going to keep me here in the material world. No, we just purify them. No, it's not that we're going to pluck our eyes and cut our tongue and, bash our ears. Why would we want to do that? In Bhagavad Gita 2.59, it is said that one ceases all material activities only when satisfied by contact with a better engagement. So we can see when we have something higher, then we can give up the lower. Otherwise, we will hold on to it. We have a tendency to hold on to whatever we have. But if we see, I have an opportunity to get something more better, then we are willing to let go of what we have. Similarly, when we start bhakti yoga and we try to hear more and more, try chanting, we chant, then what happened? We realize, there is higher bliss in this. There's higher bliss in bhakti rather than engaging in sense gratification. So let me engage more and more in bhakti. Consciousness is active by nature and cannot be stopped from working. Artificially stopping a mischievous child is not the real remedy. The child must be given some better engagement so that he will automatically stop causing mischief. In the same way, the mischievous activities of the senses can be stopped only by better engagement in relation with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When the eyes are engaged in seeing the beautiful form of the Lord, the tongue engaged in tasting prasad or remnants of foodstuff offered to the Lord, the ears are engaged in hearing his glories, the hands engaged in cleaning the temple of the Lord, the legs engaged in visiting his temples, or when all the senses are engaged in transcendental variegatedness, then only can the transcendental senses become satiated and eternally free from material engagement. So the senses always want some engagement. Always. We always want to hear something. We always want to speak something. It's the nature. We can't artificially stop it, but we can engage, we can purify them by engaging them in service of Krishna. The Lord, as the super soul residing in everyone's heart and as the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the transcendental world, far beyond the material creation, is the seer of all our activities. So Krishna, he is Paramatma in our heart. This is his Paramatma feature. In each and everyone's heart, he's sitting. In each and every atom, he's there. That's his Paramatma feature. But he's also a person. He's a person and he's sitting in Golok Vrindavan, which is very far away from this material world. And he is seeing what we are doing. He knows each of our desire. As the Paramatma, he knows. Our activities must be so transcendentally saturated that the Lord will be kind enough to look upon us favorably and engage us in his transcendental service. Then only can the senses be satisfied completely and be no longer troubled by material attraction. So by engaging in bhakti, we are trying to attract Krishna's attention. because we forgot him. All this, so many millions of lives, we've been telling him, I don't want anything to do with you. But now we are trying to say, we are trying to understand what's happening. I'm a servant of Krishna. What I must do, I must hear and chant, and I must hear and hear about his glories. And then what will happen? We can attract his mercy. We can attract his mercy by that. So that our ignorance is completely destroyed. Our ignorance that I'm this body can be completely destroyed, and we can be situated in the true knowledge. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that I sitting in the hearts of the devotees, I take away the darkness of ignorance with the light of knowledge. So when we engage in bhakti, then Krishna will give us the true knowledge. He will give us that I'm not the body, I'm the soul. Is that okay?
Yes. We have to do we have to take the first step.
Yeah.
And then, Krishna's mercy will be on us.
Yeah. Right? Yes. Yes. It's same, no? That this month we are saying 2 fingers short, effort and mercy.
Yeah.
Damodar Lila. We make our effort, and that's how we attract Krishna's mercy. Because you see, when we have desire to do something, how we get up and do things, whole day we are doing things is because what we want to do, right? Based on our desire. So Krishna says, if you really desire to come back, show me. Engage in bhakti. Let me see. Do you really want to come back? Right? So somewhere we start, even though we might not have the true desire as yet, somewhere we start, automatically the desire to be with him will come. We just hear and chant, and then we will be situated. And as you rightly said, that we just somehow or the other create the desire. So text 14, Ashesha Shanklesha Samam Vidate Gunanuvash Vanam Shravanam Murarehe Kimva Punastak Chara Naravinda Paraga Sevaratir Atmalabdha. Simply by chanting and hearing of the transcendental name, form, etc. of the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, one can achieve the cessation of unlimited miserable conditions. Therefore, what to speak of those who have attained attraction for serving the flavor of the dust of the Lord's lotus feet? So devotional service begins by chanting, by hearing what? Krishna's name, form, qualities, pastimes, etc. What happens? Our misery is going to be, we will be completely stopped. Unlimited miserable conditions. We have one misery after another. One finishes, another is not yet, one is not yet finished, another one is knocking on the door. And then this will be completely stopped. So simply by hearing and chanting, miseries goes away. So Maitreya Muni is saying, what to speak of people, of those devotees who are, pure devotees. They actually have the attraction to serve Krishna. 2 different methods for controlling the material senses are recommended in the Vedic scriptural wisdom. One of them is the process of Gyan, or the path of philosophical understanding of the Supreme, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. The other is that of direct engagement in the transcendental, loving service of the Lord. Of these 2 most popular methods, the path of devotional service is recommended here as the best, because one on the path of devotional service does not have to wait for the attainment of the fruitive results of pious activities or for the results of knowledge. So the Vedas, they have the Gyan path, get knowledge, or you're not the matter, you're the spirit, aham brahmasmi, all that. It takes lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes of serious practice, really serious practice, and really lifetimes. But and Vedas also recommend bhakti. So here bhakti is said to be higher than Gyan because Gyan takes lifetimes and it's very difficult, not easy. Not everybody can achieve perfection on this Gyan path. Although people might think, yes, I can. But it's fact, in the fact, not, it's very difficult, very difficult. And whereas bhakti, and also Gyan, what happens when you're on the process, in the process, you don't get the results of it immediately. Only when you're situated in the Brahman platform can you say, oh, okay, I'm actually Brahman now. Only then, will your miseries finish. Like the results we will get only when we achieve perfection. And that perfection to achieve is very difficult, very difficult. But what happens in devotional service? What happens is that in devotional service, we do not have to wait till we get the perfection. No, in whatever stage we are in, whatever stage, we can experience the bliss to whatever degree that we are doing. The two stages of executing devotional service are, first, the stage of practicing devotional service with our present senses under the regulations of the recognized scriptures. So this is Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. That's what we are doing. Two stages of devotional service. First stage is Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. Practicing devotional service is Sadhana Bhakti. With whatever we have, this present eyes, ears, nose, everything, under the regulations of the recognized scriptures. So Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti is not done whimsically, that I'm going to decide what is Bhakti and how I'm going to do it. No. We hear from a bona fide spiritual master who will guide us how to engage in bhakti. Second, attaining sincere attachment for serving the particles of the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord. Okay, here it's explained. The first stage is called sadhana bhakti, or devotional service for the neophyte, which is rendered under the direction of a pure devotee. And the second stage is called Raga Bhakti, in which the mature devotee automatically takes to the various services of the Lord out of sincere attachment. So one is Sadhana Bhakti, we do not have that attachment for Krishna, but we say, no, I will still follow the rules and regulation. I will hear and I will chant. I will follow the process of bhakti. This is also bhakti, and it can give us Krishna prema, the highest position, highest goal. And the second method, second devotional service is Raga Bhakti. Raga Bhakti means there's spontaneous attachment. Spontaneous. It's nobody has to force you to hear and chant. It's the devotee wants to render service. He has attachment for Krishna. The great sage Maitreya now gives the final answer to all the questions of Vidur. Devotional service to the Lord is the ultimate means to mitigate all the miserable conditions of material existence. The path of knowledge, or that of mystic gymnastics, may be adopted as a means for the purpose, but unless mixed with bhakti or devotional service, they are unable to award the desired result. So somebody may take the path of Gyan or yoga. Mystic gymnastics is yoga, or Gyan, knowledge, but they will not achieve their perfection until and unless they engage in bhakti. Unless they engage in bhakti, their efforts are not going to take them out of this material world. They will not achieve liberation. By practicing sadhana bhakti, one may gradually rise to the point of raga bhakti. And by performing raga bhakti in loving transcendental service, one can even control the supreme powerful Lord. So we engage in sadhana bhakti. And here Prabhupada is saying, by what happens? We gradually practice sadhana bhakti, hear, chant, worship the deity, associate with devotees, have Krishna Prasad. What happens? Then gradually, we'll be purified. Our attachment to this material world will slacken, and we will get attached to Krishna. Then we will continue to hear and chant and worship the deity. But that point, we will be doing it with attachment. And that is Raga Bhakti. And then when a devotee performs Raga Bhakti, Krishna gets very attracted, and Krishna comes under the control of such a devotee. So a devotee is more powerful than Krishna. Imagine being able to control God, but a devotee can. But a devotee's attitude is not that, oh, I'm going to control Krishna and I'm going to make him a servant. No, Krishna knows our heart. If somebody has that desire, we are never ever going to find Krishna if we have that desire. It's only when Krishna sees that this devotee has a sincere loving attitude, he has a sincere devotion, then he comes under the control, as he came under the control of the gopis. The gopis of Vrindavan, when Krishna was a small boy, they would tell him dance, and he would dance. They would clap their hands. They would tell him, clap your hands. He would clap his hands. And that's God. And they're asking him to do these things, and he's doing it because it's a loving exchange between God and his devotee. It's all about love then. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Any questions, comments, anything?
So, can you just give some example for the sadhana bhakti and the raga bhakti? Like just some example.
Sadhana,
Like of the devotees,
So what we are doing here in ISKCON, for example, we are following sadhana bhakti. We follow the rules and regulations. Wake up in the morning, do your chanting, do your puja, worship the deity, hear from the scriptures. All this is sadhana bhakti. Yeah. And then by what happens when we associate with devotees, we engage in bhakti, what happens? Anartha nivriti happens. All the unwanted desires go away from the heart. And then we will come to the stage of nishtha, firm faith in the process of bhakti. And then with that, after that, we will get a taste. We'll get a taste for engaging in devotional service. Then we'll get attached to doing engagement, ashakti. The ashakti will come to engage in devotional service. Then after that, bhava, and then prema. So by doing sadhana bhakti, we can achieve prema. That's what is recommended for all the devotees. That's what Lord Chaitanya came to tell us. Do your sadhana bhakti. Why? Because we do not have that spontaneous attachment to Krishna. We do not have that spontaneous. So we should not try to jump to that platform. Oh, that I'm so attached to Krishna. No, we humbly and honestly, we accept, oh, I don't have attachment, but I would like to. And so let me do the sadhana bhakti. And then gradually, when the attachment to Krishna is developed, when really one is doing it out of spontaneous attachment, then that's Raga Bhakti. Raga Bhakti is seen how the Brajbasis a spontaneous attachment to Krishna. Nobody has to force them. Yashoda Mai is singing Krishna's pastimes as she's doing her housework. She doesn't have to be reminded. She's just so attached to Krishna that she wants to do it out of pure love. Actually, that is called Raganuga Bhakti, the devotional service performed by the Brajbasis when Krishna was here. Then what they were doing is Raganuga Bhakti, because they're all eternal associates of Krishna. But when, for example, you're saying Raga Bhakti, somebody who has attachment for Krishna would be pure devotee.
Maybe King Ambarish, Raja Ambarish.
I'm not sure where did he start from, what point did they start at, The point is that we start at sadhana and we can come to Raga Bhakti. That's the point.
So like all the time you are just thinking, right? Constantly thinking of Krishna.
Yeah, there is sincere attachment. It's not that you're forced to. Then at that point, It's that we are all the time thinking of Krishna. And if we think also of the material world, then we are like, oh my God, what did I do? Why did I even for one moment think about this material world? You know, that is that at that stage, very high stages, like 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. You know, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, they are in the Raga Bhakti. And well, all the acharyas in our line, they are doing Raga Bhakti. And Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami. And but what they're telling us, you do sadhana bhakti. Do sadhana bhakti, and you can come to that sincere attachment. Is that okay?
One question I want to know is that why do pure devotees also suffer? You find them also, you know, like they do suffer, like a body pain. Lot of, you know, they go through that misery. So what is the reason? Is it because they are taking the pain of others?
Okay, very good. Like one time, Prabhupada, when he was really very sick, an astrologer in those days, he took a plane from South India and came to meet him in those days. He took an aeroplane especially to come to Srila Prabhupada and told him, you know, you're suffering so much is because your devotees have kept your murti and then they are offering you worship and they're touching your feet and like that, all their karma is coming to you and that's why you're suffering so much. So Srila Prabhupada, and so this astrologer thought he's going to be telling Srila Prabhupada something that he doesn't know. But Srila Prabhupada said, yes, I know that. So Srila Prabhupada, out of his kindness, even while he was here on this earth, allowed the devotees to have his murti and offer worship so that all the karma, the bad karma, he was taking by offering worship.
Yeah, that's why you find them, no? Many times they're going through a lot of,
Yeah, and then, but what happens is the pure devotee, they don't even, because they're not in the bodily concept of life. You know, pure devotee means they're totally, their consciousness is
above the body.
Above the body.
Right.
So they don't even feel it. You know, it's a very high, very elevated stage. And so Krishna gives them, and sometimes to show us that, okay, these things are going to happen to you also. You know, and also because Krishna, when he says, I always protect the devotee, he means to say he's going to protect the devotional service of the devotee. The body, no matter how much we try to maintain it, it is prone to disease and death, old age. It will happen. That's the nature of the body. It will happen. So when Krishna says, I give all protection to my devotee, he means to say he's going to protect the devotional service of the devotee. He's going to protect the soul, that where is this devotee soul where is it going actually? You know? So yeah. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. So we'll stop here for today.
Yeah.
So Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Krishna. See you all at 2 o'clock, before 2, 10 minutes to 2 in my place, yeah.
10 minutes to 2.